to DevInsights. Armağan, today we need to talk about mental model.
Mental model? All right, let's do that.
When you are a software engineer and you want to transitioning to become an AI agent developer or an AI developer, for me, it's changing a lot the way I have to think and design before start working. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? How's this shift?
So I think this is in two parts. One is the regular AI agent development, and then the second one is you as a developer building on the OpenServ platform. Because one of our core value proposition is to pretty much make this as seamless as possible for you, right? And it's a totally different, an entirely different way of thinking that is way easier to get started with. And it progressively gets more and more complex as you feel more and more comfortable with AI agent development. Now, traditionally, when you want to build AI agents, the first problem is where do you start? What is the mode of interaction with your AI agent? How do users interact with your AI agent? What is it going to do? And traditionally, when people talk about AI agents, they usually mean some sort of large language model backed system that works on your behalf, does things on your behalf, is instructed by you, but also tends to work autonomously. You might be in the driver's seat and you might be issuing commands still, but it's doing tasks for you. And there are levels of autonomy, just like autonomous driving, where on the far end, there are fully autonomous systems like OpenServ. But the idea is that you build this intelligence layer that knows how to do things and knows how to interpret the user's request, talk to the user, translate that into some form of function, and implement that function. It could be, for example, one of the recent use cases we looked at was financial analysis, historical stock market analysis, for example. You need to understand what the user is asking for, a certain particular time frame, duration, certain tickers, stocks, and maybe the kind of analysis they want to run on those stocks. So you need to understand the user's intent and then translate that into whatever API that you're using to make the right calls, and then put together a response and then send it back to the user. Now, this is real difficult because you not only have to build up the interaction layer with the user. Is it chat-based? Is it a UI with parameters, with different windows, different modes of operation? You also have to build the intelligence around it, not only understanding the user's request, but maybe clarifying it. Or when the user is asking for something else, how are you going to put it in perspective? How are you going to apply the user's follow-up request maybe to your output? These are really tough to build, and especially when things go wrong, when your agent produces a suboptimal result. First, how are you going to make sure that your agent comes up with the right solution the user is asking for? And what if the user is still not satisfied and wants changes? Or what if there is a fundamental piece missing that you would require, that you would need from the user, but it somehow evade your first analysis of the user's intent and request? You have to build all of these mechanisms yourself. And then the problem is, what is the output format? Is it just text? Is it a web page that you put together? Is it just a bunch of charts in our recent example? Is it a PDF report? Is it maybe interactive charts? It's very difficult to figure all of these out. And as an agent developer, you have to do all of these things in order to provide useful agents. Now, there are a lot of frameworks out there that help with multiple aspects of this. And on a tier that is below all of these, there are topics like memory, for example, that you still need to build. And like the agent needs to remember users' preferences. If a user always wants to report in a PDF format, you should not ask again and again. You should remember that. Again, there are multiple frameworks to build all of these things in, and it's not easy for a backend developer or a front-end developer, a traditional application developer to jump in, because it requires you to maintain state, not only in a well-formed structure that you're used to in backend apps, but in a more intelligent way that you allow the user to manipulate over the course of days, weeks, and you still need to come up with consistent results. This is not an easy task. And the mental model is therefore entirely different. In a UI application, you have maybe some state, some deterministic state that you show to the user. You have that for, I don't know, the entire session duration, 30 minutes tops, something like that. Even if they leave the tab open or like they leave the app open on their devices, the possible scenarios or the possible space of the state representation is really tiny. You have a couple of items on the UI that the user can interact with, and the combinations are not like infinite.